up, everyone, and welcome to the Casual Wrestling Podcast, the #1 rated wrestling podcast for all casual wrestling fans. I am NerdyD, you are part of the CWC, and we have a lot to talk about tonight. Each week, we dive deep into 4 of wrestling's biggest questions. If you like what you hear, make sure to hit the like and subscribe button or add us on your favorite podcast network. Tonight, we are talking about what AEW could learn from WWE. We create the perfect NerdyD Wrestlemania, and we rank the top 10 WWE finishing moves. But first, a little bit of housekeeping before we start the show. Casual Wrestling merch is now live on casualwrestling.com. Make sure to check it out. Go ahead, check out the whole website. All of the YouTube videos are up there now. It has its own podcast player, and I'm working on kind of a community section. So it's still a work in progress, but there is a merch button that you can hit on the website that will take you to all of the new Casual Wrestling merch. Starting either this week, this upcoming week, or the following week, I'm going to make the Casual Wrestling Community Show, the show you're listening to right now, I'm going to make it a guest-driven show. I'm going to create a sign-up sheet on casualwrestling.com where you can sign up to be on an episode alongside me. I think Level Up Lauren is going to come back to this show. I think we have another person that we're talking to, that another casual wrestling friend of mine, that's possibly going to jump on the show. And then each episode will feature one person from the actual casual community to come on and talk wrestling with us. So each week we'll do one of the biggest news stories of the week. We'll kind of break it down, get 4 different opinions on that. We'll do one topic of discussion that I bring to the show. We will do one topic of discussion that the person who signs up for the show brings to the show. And then we'll do one little game at the end of the episode, either a draft or a ranking game, something fun that we typically do at the end of the show anyway. So that show will record on Wednesday nights. So if you're interested in signing up, there will be a sign-up sheet on casualwrestling.com where you'll fill out, like name, email, and what your topic idea is. And then we'll fill out a calendar. We'll try to get, a good mix of people. We'll try not to have the same people on, consecutively. I'm sure there will be reoccurring guests on the show, but, we'll do it Wednesday nights to stay out of the way of football. And we'll see how that works for the next couple of weeks. So let's jump right into topic number 1. So I haven't watched Dynamite tonight, but I saw the wrestling world kind of light up and the discussion got pretty hot pretty quickly. I saw IWC fans and casual wrestling fans both weighing in on Grand Slam, and the IWC was defending, AEW's every move, and the casual wrestling community calling out all the insane things that were happening. And I was just kind of in the middle watching both sides. It was like a civil war going on the internet. And I was just standing there going, holy shit, what am I missing? The first thing that popped into my head when I started reading some of the things, and we'll get to some of those things, but when I started reading some of the things that people were writing was, man, this is what happens when you fire a voice of reason in your company. This is what happens when you listen to the IWC. This is what happens when you let the IWC tell you that somebody in your company who was a voice of reason was actually a cancer. CM Punk. The guy who was telling you not to drop people on your head, telling you don't use real glass. The guy that was trying to keep the inmates in the asylum. But this is what happens when the inmates get full control of the asylum. Bad things start happening. So where do we start tonight? How about we start with Jon Moxley getting dropped on his head and failing to kick out of a pin, and El Phoenix nor the referee take notice and continue the match, so they pick him up and they drop him on his head again. I can't make this kind of shit up. When I first read it, before I went and actually watched the match, when I first read this, I was like, this can't be real. This isn't really happening. How does your referee not catch this? How does El Phoenix not understand that if Jon Moxley isn't moving, we probably shouldn't pick him up and drop him on his head again? And now I'm seeing on social media, I'm seeing pictures surfacing of what looks like Tony Khan panicking backstage in a huddle with Wheeler Yuta, Claudio, and Renee Paquette. and none of them look happy to be there. And it honestly, to me, I'm not going to read into it too much, but it looks like to me that most of that angry energy is being directed at Tony Khan. Like people just aren't happy with him right now. So we move on from that, and I flip through AEW Dynamite Grand Slam, and I see MJF take a Death Valley driver on the edge of the ring. Because why not, right? Why not? AEW hasn't killed anybody yet. So let's attempt it. Let's have Samoa Joe attempt to kill MJF. And if that's not enough, a couple minutes later, Samoa Joe pulls back the rubber on the floor and pile drives MJF onto cement. Can someone tell me if AEW has all of these high W wrestlers that IWC, they tell me, oh, these guys are so good, Moxley's so good, Darby Allin's so good. If these guys are so good, then why do they have to rely on these circus level dangerous spots to keep people interested? Why do they have to keep one-upping each other? Why does Tony Storm have to hit the weirdest looking pile driver on Saraya, who has a history of neck problems? Why do we need this if these guys are so good at their craft? But who is producing these matches? Tony Khan, you said they had to go get these things approved. Who was in the back checking these boxes saying that these spots and matches are okay? How desperate is AEW at this point, now that The Rock showed back up, that they've just thrown all the safety documents, just throw them out the window? You guys remember when the IWC tried to say that I don't understand storytelling because when Kenny Omega got dropped on his head, that was actually, that's legit storytelling. Nerdy D, you're just not smart enough to understand what's going on in the intricacies of like Japanese wrestling. What the fuck happened tonight? What was the story here? We're just trying to murder people? What am I missing, IWC? What is the story that I'm missing? The guy, Moxley, who claims to have arthritis of a 70-year-old man, is the story that now he needs to get a concussion so that his brain function matches? Like, you guys explain to me. Or is the story, how many stars can we injure and lose in a company in 3 months? That feels like pretty appropriate. That feels like what you're going for. Is it oh shit, Jay Cargill just left the company. We need to go kamikaze and start making some headlines. Let's see how many guys we could kill in an AEW ring. But then to put the fucking cherry on top of everything, because AEW is a fly-by-night circus of a company that can't fill up a real arena, we build this rinky-dink ass ramp. The same ramp that tried to eat Bryan Danielson a while back. I remember him getting stuck in this same ramp. But we build this ramp that is 2-0 against human competitors that sent Adam Cole to the hospital tonight because he had to leap off of a cliff to get to ringside. Whose idea in AEW was it to build a ramp that literally runs straight into the ring, does not match up flushly, so there's an actual speed bump in getting in the ring, and on each side, there's just a 4-foot drop for no fucking reason. But you know what, IWC? You know what you guys are going to talk about? Hey, Eddie Kingston won the least relevant title in all of wrestling from Mr. No Personality himself. So, IWC, have your night. Claim your victory. That's what you guys are going to hang your head on. Go for it. But know this, AEW in 2023 is a garbage truck on fire that drove into a chili pepper factory that tumbled off a cliff into a active volcano. Tony Khan needs to be put on medical observation right now. Someone find that man. His blood pressure and anxiety have to be through the roof at this point. And here's the problem, guys. This is the problem that nobody's talking about. Up until this point, it looks like Tony Khan has had fun. Even when things have gotten a little rough, it looks like he was having fun. But things are starting to look like they're not fun anymore. And what happens when it's not fun anymore? Now I've heard my community say, I've seen the internet say that Tony Khan will just double down. He'll just try even harder. But I got to tell you guys something. I'm not going to agree with that. You guys don't have the experience that I have with children. See, children look at things in a very different light. And Tony Khan is a child. He has all of the personality traits of a small child. What children do is children love new shiny toys. But once a toy is not shiny and once a toy isn't fun anymore, they just leave a mess in their room and they go look for new toys. Right now, AEW is a mess. It's a shit show. You fired your biggest draw in your company. You lost the most marketable homegrown star you produced. Now you think that Edge is looking at this from the outside going like, hell yeah, let me join that fucking freak show. Let me join that fucking train wreck. How long until Daddy Khan steps in and says, all right, son, playtime's over. You have real responsibilities within the Jaguars organization, within this soccer team that you own. Like AEW was a fun experiment, but it's over. How long until Eric Bischoff or one of these wrestling snakes comes in and gets in the ear of Tony Khan and goes, you know what? Let me fix it for you. How long? How long until WB goes, we've seen enough. We're good. We don't need any more of this. You guys want 12 pay-per-views a year of this train wreck? Watch how quickly people start jumping off of a sinking ship. And here's the bigger discussion that has to be had. January 2024 is right around the corner. And my guy Mike in the Discord asked a hell of a question tonight. Does the literal future of AEW depend on MJF re-signing with the company? You lost CM Punk. You lost Jade Cargill. MJF is the last marketable domino you have left in your company. And I think in January of 2024, that will be the most important month for the IWC in wrestling history. This is make or break. This is where your company either survives or gets laid to rest. Without MJF, you are left with a roster of, at best, indie-level stars who don't sell tickets. Darby Allin, Jon Moxley, Chris Jericho, Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks. That sounds like a hell of a wrestling show at a local YMCA. Tony Khan better be ready to open up his checkbook, because if I'm WWE, if I'm TKO, I'm going to do everything I can to sign MJF, if not just for the only reason to keep him out of AEW. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to drive that price for MJF up so high that if Tony Khan really wants to keep him, he's going to have to pay 4 times the value of what MJF is actually worth. And I can't wait to hear the excuses from the IWC when they start to, crawl back and tell me, oh, you're overreacting. AEW's fine. It's still the superior wrestling product. Look, man, Tony Khan is filming half of Rampage before Dynamite so that he doesn't have to pay the extra money for the building. But you guys keep telling me Tony Khan has unlimited funds, right? That he'll just keep doubling down. Those are the kind of decisions you start to make when things aren't going right. Those are the kind of decisions you start to make before you have to make the real decisions about it's time to shrink. It's time to downsize. But don't worry, I'm sure you guys got this all under control. The Elite, Kenny Omega, Adam Page, the Young Bucks, they're going to swoop in and save the ratings, right? That's what they do. They're big-time superstars. So I've never really sat down and thought about what my dream WrestleMania card would be, especially not for WrestleMania 40, and especially not using the booking that WWE has used up until this point. If I took over tomorrow, this is what I would like to see. So what I want to do is, as realistically as possible, not just throw in a bunch of dream matches, but matches that I think make sense using the booking up until this point. And what I'm going to do is I'm not going to really explain how we get to these matches. I just want to kind of go over night 1 and night 2 of the perfect NerdyD WrestleMania card and see what you guys think. And then you guys kind of tell me what I left off. So let's start with night 1. Night 1, WrestleMania 40. What I want to see is first match of the night, Gunther versus John Cena, no title involved. Just a straight up match between two icons. And let them start the show, kind of like we did with Theory last year. It didn't really hit. I think this hits better than that. I start off with Gunther versus John Cena. Then I roll out of that, and I think that I want to see Finn Balor and Damian Priest, still as tag team champions, take on the Street Profits. But here's the caveat. Tag team titles on the line. We need a special guest referee. We're in Philadelphia. I want Kevin Hart to special guest referee the Finn Balor, Damian Priest, Street Profits tag team title match. The Rock's already going to be there. Kevin Hart's his little best friend. Let's throw Kevin Hart in the mix. Let's get our celebrity appearance out of the way. Third match of the night. This is where things get interesting. I want to go Cody Rhodes versus Kevin Owens, Falls Count Anywhere. Not going to explain how we get there. It's just something that would make me happy to see Cody Rhodes versus Kevin Owens at a WrestleMania. I think you get maybe the most NerdyD wrestling match of all time. Fourth, I want Sheamus versus Drew McIntyre with the Intercontinental Championship on the line, and I want Sheamus to become a Grand Slam champion at WrestleMania against Drew McIntyre, and I want all of the pictures, all of the optics. I expect fireworks. I think that's the perfect fourth match. Fifth, I want Bianca Belair versus Rhea Ripley, Women's World Heavyweight Championship on the line. I know that's not what we're going to get. I know that WWE does their best to keep Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley as far away from each other as possible, but this is the match I want to see. I don't want to see Rhea Ripley and Becky Lynch. I don't want to see Bianca Belair and Charlotte Flair. I want to see Bianca Belair versus Rhea Ripley with the World's Women Heavyweight Championship on the line. After that, let's go Theory versus Gargano. Just something about that match has appeal to me. Not every match can be the biggest match on the card, and I think that's a match that would surprise and be fun. There's enough history there that could actually work in that spot. I'm going to sneak in a time filler match here at number 7. I'm going to go Miz versus Pat McAfee again, but this time, if the Miz wins that match, he gets to host the Pat McAfee show the following Monday. I think it would make for a lot of fun making the Miz actually get to host the Pat McAfee show and Pat McAfee have to sit like co-host to the Miz. I think that could bring both of those worlds back together. But my main event for night 1 of WrestleMania would be Seth Rollins versus CM Punk for the World Heavyweight Championship title. Give CM Punk a main event. I think it's overdue. I think you put Seth Rollins versus CM Punk. You figure out how to get them in a room together, get them to talk, get Seth Rollins to put CM Punk over, ultimately leading to at some point down the line, CM Punk doing the same favor for Seth Rollins. That's night 1. So let's jump to night 2. Start the show off. Let's go Jimmy versus Jay. We know it's happening. We know we want it. It's a perfect spot to do it. Get the crowd ramped back up. Match number 2, I'm going Raquel Rodriguez and Liv Morgan versus Jade Cargill and Chelsea Green for the women's tag team match. I don't know why. I just have a gut feeling that Jade Cargill and Chelsea Green could make on-screen magic together. There's something, it's one of those odd pairings that I think could work. Number 3, let's take a little turn here. Let's go Braun Breaker versus Bobby Lashley for the United States Championship. I like this. Let's bring an NXT guy into the mix. Let's put him against Bobby Lashley. Let's put the United States Championship on the line. And I don't really care who wins this match. I don't care if this is just an opportunity to make Braun Breaker look strong or if we're actually going to strap a title onto him. But I think it's time. Move Braun Breaker up. Put him against Bobby Lashley. U.S. title on the line. Match number 4, LA Knight versus Logan Paul. You want celebrity? There's your celebrity. Put the megastar versus the internet sensation. The build up to this match will be absolutely phenomenal. This works on so many levels. Easy at number 4. Number 5, Dirty Dom versus Chad Gable for the North American title. Chad Gable makes every person he gets into the ring with look good. So I think that putting Chad Gable, if you're not going to put the Intercontinental Championship on him, then give him a run with a North American title, have him beat Dirty Dom at WrestleMania, and I guarantee you that Chad Gable can get a extremely solid match out of somebody like Dirty Dom. 6th match, let's go Charlotte Flair versus Becky Lynch versus Bayley, and let's call back Sasha. Let's do the 4 horsewomen. We've never done it. We've never had the opportunity to do it at WrestleMania. Let's do it. All 4 of them in the ring at one time. WWE Women's title on the line. Make it happen. Call whoever you got to call Triple H. This is a better match than Charlotte and Bianca Belair. Putting Charlotte and Becky, Bayley, and Sasha in the ring at the same time is something that needs to happen before one of them gets injured forever or they just all pass up their prime. And last but not least, the match everybody knows is going to happen. Number 7, main event of both nights of WrestleMania, Roman Reigns versus The Rock, undisputed title on the line. Have The Rock lose to Roman Reigns, have Roman Reigns go over, and let's keep this train running. Just keep it running. But let me know who I'm leaving out. Who am I leaving off that card? I tried to go through and find every person that I thought was worthy of being on the WrestleMania card. You can rectify a lot of this by having one of those Andre the Giant Memorial pre-show battle royals, put anybody on there that I left off. But let me know what matches you would change and who you would add or subtract from this card. There was a part of me that wanted to do Cody Rhodes versus MJF. I'm not willing to bet the house right now on the fact that MJF is actually coming to WWE. All right, so I know I tend to criticize AEW often, but there are actually a few things that when I started watching wrestling again a couple years ago that I really liked about AEW that I don't talk about enough, I think. And I know right now I have become kind of the pro wrestling prophet. There have been people, I'm not going to name names. There have been people who have called me the pro wrestling prophet at this point because I predicted the downfall and ultimate destruction of AEW. But the truth is, believe it or not, I actually do believe that wrestling is better when there's viable options for people to watch. Now, I think that if the IWC could ever just sit the fuck down for a minute and get their panties out of a bunch, that AEW could actually implement a few small changes that would make it more appealing of a product to the casual wrestling fan who actually has disposable income to keep your company alive. But on the flip side, I think that there are plenty of things that WWE actually could probably learn from AEW that would improve that product as well. AEW is not all shit. So Wavy D from the Casual Wrestling Community Discord suggested doing a topic with 3 things that WWE does better and 3 things that AEW does better. Let's start with WWE. So I would say that WWE does the better job of letting new fans jump into the product at any point. You can literally start any WWE premium live event, and if you watch the pre-show, you will be caught up on everything that is about to happen that night. It can even be a little excessive at times, but I think that's still a good thing, especially for casual wrestling fans. On the flip side of that, I think that I've turned on AEW shows after not watching for a couple weeks, and it feels like I'm watching something that's in a foreign language. Feels like I turned on one of those Netflix shows that uses subtitles, and I have no clue what's going on. AEW relies so heavily on a fan's deep knowledge of wrestling, more so than I think most wrestling fans have. Number 2 thing I think that WWE does better, I think WWE does a better job with story pacing. Not necessarily storytelling, but at least story pacing. They get the most out of each program. It's very rare that I grow tired of a WWE storyline because it stayed around too long, or I almost never feel like I go, ooh, I wish WWE would have gave me more of that. They never rush through things for sure. And with AEW, it feels like to me that a story is either going to be 1 week long or 3 years. That's the story arcs that AEW use. And IWC always try to argue that some shit that happened 5 years ago is a part of a story that's going on right now. And I'm like, bro, people have died in the time that this story has taken place. You've lost like 10% of your audience. And on the flip side, then you get some things like, CM Punk and MJF that they try to blow through in 2 weeks. They rush through the story instead of actually letting it marinate and getting 3 months out of it. WWE has a better story pacing for story arcs, but it also has a better pacing for just shows in general. WWE usually has like a true main event with a show that arcs up, whereas AEW feels like they put all of the matches in a hat and they just draw the card order by pulling slips of paper and looking at and writing it down on a board. Number 3, WWE does a better job of creating and recognizing star potential and star power. Moxley is great, but he's not marketable. You can't build your company around Jon Moxley. He's just not casual fan friendly. Whereas on the flip side, Roman Reigns might be hated by the IWC because they say he can't wrestle, he can't talk. But if you take a look around, he's the biggest star in all of pro wrestling. You look at LA Knight, Bianca Belair, Seth Rollins, John Cena. WWE creates global superstars who can move on from pro wrestling and do things in Hollywood because of the fame they got within the WWE. Name me one person in AEW who could credibly transition out of the company into Hollywood. I think MJF is probably the closest thing that they have, but I don't think outside of the wrestling world, MJF is a highly recognized character. It's not Jack Perry. It's not Darby Allin. It's not Sammy Guevara. None of those guys have the star power. And guys like Ricky Starks, who probably possess that talent, the IWC down them so much that they get pushed to the side because the IWC hates anything that is marketable. So let's talk about the positive things that AEW does, right? I think AEW tends to understand the value of big time matches on weekly television. Now this could be because they have a lack of pay-per-view schedule, but I think this is an effective style of booking that Tony Khan uses to let fans know, hey, there's gonna be a big match this week. You should look forward to this. And I think Triple H has paid attention, and he's starting to see that he's doing some of these little booking tricks with Monday Night Raw with these main events like Rhea Ripley, Raquel Rodriguez. What was the other one? Was Gable versus Gunther. So Triple H is picking up on this, but AEW's done this for a long time, and you got to give credit where credit is due. I think this is definitely a strength of AEW. So number two is something that I don't even know if AEW still does this or if they still even talk about this. But it's the showing the records and the record system that AEW uses. And I'm not necessarily talking about using records to justify like a title shot or what rank a guy is, but at least showing the records so you know the importance of like how many times this superstar has won on a yearly basis. I do, though, love the idea of both companies looking at UFC and going, maybe a power ranking system would work. Some kind of system where fans could get online, look at, these three guys are probably in position for a title shot at the next premium live event. And if number two loses, he can move down to 3. You can bring up number 4. When it's pre-scripted, you control the power rankings. So I don't understand why power rankings aren't a thing in pro wrestling. And the third best thing I think AEW does is I do like AEW's title system. I think it, up until they've created 7 new shows, it was the superior title structure in pro wrestling. And I know that's not the most popular opinion. There's a lot of people who don't like, trios or having this many like mid-card belts. But I think, the problem is for me with AEW, now that there's actually 3 shows with Dynamite, Rampage, and Collision, they've diluted the value of their titles just a little bit. And once they acquired Ring of Honor, I think they diluted it even more because now you have a bunch of titles that most people don't understand. But at one point, AEW kind of had the right idea by having 1 world title, 2 or 3 mid-card titles, a tag team title, women's mid-card, and then a trio-based title. If I was WWE, I would take the concept of the trio-based title and make it a faction-based title. A title that is defended by 3 members of a faction, but isn't designated to those 3 guys, so that any 3 guys from a faction could defend it. If you had the New Day, I know Big E can't wrestle anymore, but you could do the New Day. And then if you had the Bloodline, you could have taken any 3 wrestlers. If it was Jay, Jimmy, and Solo, they could defend it on one night. Roman could jump in on another night. I like the trios titles. I just don't think they need to be so rigid. But you guys let me know, what do you think are the strengths of WWE? I know there's a lot of people who listen to the show that don't like that I'm down on AEW all the time. So tell me, what am I missing? What am I not looking for in AEW? What does AEW do better than WWE that I should be paying attention to? All right, and lastly, this week we're going to play another little game here. Last week we ranked WWE ring gear without knowing who came next using a spinning wheel. This week we'll do top 10 WWE finishing moves without knowing the next one. Top 10, here we go. First person to be on the list here, spinning the wheel, Dexter Lumis. He uses some kind of choke, I believe, right? It's a choking maneuver. Let's put Lumis at, I'm going to put him at 8. I'm not sure about that choice. Montez Ford. Montez has the frog splash off the top rope. I like that one. It's electrifying. Let's go number 3 for Montez Ford. Next we have Rey Mysterio, 619. Never been a huge fan, but I think we'll go him at 5. Drew McIntyre. Interesting. Let's go Drew. I'm going to go Drew at 2. I like the Claymore. I think it's a solid finisher. I like the setup and everything about it. Ooh, okay. Matt Riddle. He uses the Bro Derek, which is kind of, I don't know, what is that called? It's not like a gotch style neutralizer. It reminds me of what Cesaro used to do. Let's go Riddle at 7. All right, let's go Trish Stratus, Stratisfaction. I'll go 6. I'll go Trish at 6. Sami Zayn, the Haluva kick. Let's go. I'll go 4. I'll go 4 with Sami Zayn. Chad Gable. Let's go Chad Gable at number 1. I like that slow moving suplex that he does. I might regret that though, putting that at 1. We've got 9 and 10. Shayna Baszler's, was it Karafuda clutch, something like that? 9. I think that's 9. This is dangerous though, because now I'm leaving 10 for whatever's last. I did this last time. This is a bad strategy. It's Sheamus. That's horrible. So my top 10 finishing maneuvers in WWE. At number 10, Sheamus. Number 9, Shayna Baszler. Number 8, Dexter Lumis. Number 7, Matt Riddle. Number 6, Trish Stratus. Number 5, Rey Mysterio. Number 4, Sami Zayn. Number 3, Montez Ford. Number 2, Drew McIntyre. And number 1, Chad Gable. That is your power 10 for this week. That's all I have for you guys. Thank you for watching. Make sure to check out the Raw and SmackDown post shows, as well as the Champ and the Chick show, all on the Casual Wrestling YouTube channel and podcast network. Go grab yourself a Casual Wrestling t-shirt, and while you're there, make sure to hit the share and like buttons on this episode. Tell a friend about the show. I will see you guys on Friday. Until then, stay casual. I'm tapping out.
Step in the ring, if you ready, let's go. Hey, Casual Wrestling Community Show. You already know, talking WWE. Keep it rolling and hosted by Notorious NerdyD. Dope show that you gon' find. Tune in cause it's online. Hit 'em with a figure 4 leg lock, power driver or clothesline. We bringing that heat like the show.